What is one thing that you flat out just don't know how people afford? Story 1. Women who keep up with nails, lash extensions, Botox, etc. That shit is expensive as f***. Recomment. Came to say people that regularly get their nails done every 2-3 weeks. My husband and I recently both got big pay raises, so I told myself I'd started getting my nails done every month since we could afford it. Went 2 times and realized no matter how much I make, spending $70/month on nails that really only look good for about a week was too much. Story 2. New pickups by people who don't use them as pickup. $60K for a transportation appliance used just to commute? Recomment. Literally, I work on a construction site, a profession where traditionally a truck would actually have some use. But nowadays, most workers, including myself, commute in cheap used cars. Then, after work, I drive home on a highway surrounded by massive shiny new pickup trucks, driven by middle-aged men wearing suits and white collars. The pickup truck has been turned into a luxury vehicle, and these people are being hoodwinked by marketing into thinking it's a good purchase. Story 3. Children. Recomment. This, me at friend's mother's funeral. Listening to her eulogy and stories about how she sacrificed everything to make sure her kids never went without. What an amazing woman. Me watching my sister never buy anything for herself but spend hundreds on concert tickets for her kids, only to have them complain about the seats. It won't kill them to hear the word no every now and again. Kids are so expensive, I don't know how anyone can afford them. And the more opportunities you give them, dance lessons, club sports, living in a nice neighborhood, the more you will pay out the nose just so they keep financial pace with their friends, whose parents also seem to be struggling to afford it. Story 4. Multiple family foreign holidays per year. Recomment. My parents did this when I was a teen for maybe 6 or 7 years. I was talking to my dad about it recently, actually. Basically, he worked his absolute ass off and lived well within our means for most of our childhood. He took overtime every weekend and helped his then boss build a company from the ground up. We lived in a house that fitted us, not huge, in an area that was okay but not great. We didn't buy stuff we couldn't afford. We had second-hand cars and hand-me-down clothes. We did home-cooked meals, never takeout, and very rarely eating out. Neither of them drank or smoked. We were by no means without nice things or whatever, but my parents never went into debt for it and weren't frivolous with money. My dad's company did well, and he got good bonuses after a while. He paid down the mortgage to the point it was virtually nothing, but we didn't move to a nicer postcode or bigger place for the sake of it, so his outings went down whilst his income remained. A lot of ducks had to line up, sure, but a large part of it was simply not frittering money away over years with an ever-expanding lifestyle. Sending every spare cent into paying off the house meant the biggest expense most people have was basically non-existent by the time my sister and I were old enough that a couple holidays a year were fantastic lifelong memories for us and worth the cost. Story 5. Modern-day house prices. $600,000 used to buy you a serious mansion. Now it's an average family home. I make a good income. My girlfriend also has a normal average income. Yet we can barely afford an averagely priced house these days. Recomment. This. Who the hell can shell out 20% down, much less make the payments financing that kind of money? I make really good money too. I don't have that kind of cash reserve. Even if I could save up the down payment, the monthly payment would be crazy. I figure they gotta have family money from somewhere, living in massive debt, or just spending everything to survive. Story 6. I still don't know how we afforded daycare. At one point had 2 kids in daycare for a year before oldest went to kindergarten. Recomment. We have 2 kids in full-time daycare. The daycare that we go to is slightly below market rate for the area. We're going to pay around $25,000 this year. Thank God my oldest goes to kindergarten next fall. We overpay on our mortgage because we're trying to pay it off quicker, but if we paid the actual loan amount, daycare would cost more than our house. And let me be clear, my wife and I are the lucky ones. We waited to have kid until our late 30s, and I was 40 when kid 2 was born. We both have good careers and make good incomes, and it's a serious financial stretch for us to be able to afford it. I honestly don't know how other people do it, and there's no way I would have been able to afford 2 kids even 7 or 8 years ago. Story 7. Mental health treatment. Recomment. This one really puzzles me. Sometimes you're facing mental health issues because you have no job, no money, no housing. It's pretty understandable to be strongly depressed or anxious due to the sheer lack of means of supporting oneself. And naturally, the other way around as well. We might lose our jobs due to severe mental health issues. It's just impossible to do proper work when you're in grave pain, mentally. Then people say, go get help. Oh, sure, but how? No job, no money, buddy. Only kind of help one can get is meth or fentanyl. And I mean this as no joke and no shame to drug users. When you're completely fucked, it's perfectly understandable that you'll resort to drugs. Only way you can think of for feeling minimally good feelings. You shouldn't do it, but many do. It's fucking devastating. Story 8. Being a bridesmaid. Weddings have become so much more elaborate, with multiple showers and bachelorette weekends. Recommend. We paid for everything except plane tickets and hotels for people in our wedding. Outfits, tailoring, accessories, hair, makeup, food for morning of, rides to, from the venue and rehearsal, and rides from to the airport were all from our pocket. We were essentially asking them to put on a performance on our behalf. It would be fucked up to also expect them to pay for everything. Story 9. Vet bills. Even routine care and vaccinations can be $400. Not to mention if there are any kind of unique issues or an emergency, you're paying thousands, and they won't give care until you pay. Story 10. International first-class tickets. I'm going to Japan in a month and was thinking of going in style. I got a nice raise and a bit of vacation time saved and wanted to treat myself. Fuck all. $17,000 was the cheapest I found. Absolutely insane. Story 11. Cars. Recommend. I made a lease agreement in August 2020 for a sedan at $240 a month with a $1,500 down payment. I made $47,000 at the time and thought my payment was astronomically high. I was afraid I'd barely make payments then, but I needed a car, and economically at the time, this decision made the most sense to me. Lease agreement was for a $13,000 buyout price. I calculated with a good loan rate that it'd be about $280 a month, so I signed in 2020. Within a month, the car market exploded from COVID. I must have received lease buyout offers from my dealer 4 times a month for the past 2 years. Got my car appraised before deciding what to do in July before the lease ended, and my jaw dropped when I got a valuation of $22,000 and an offer to buy it for $21,000. My original agreed upon car value was $19,800 in 2020. I basically earned $2,000 for signing a paper in 2020. I bought the car and now have $9K in equity. I'm only explaining how I got into my car ownership situation. The car model I got in 2020 low-end no features, MSRP, was mid-$18,000. Now the base model 2023 starts at $28,000. If I didn't make that agreement in 2020, I don't think I'd ever be able to afford to own a car now. I don't know how anyone affords one now, let alone the fact a significant number of people are paying $601,000 a month in car payments. It's truly insane. Story 12. Plastic surgery. More and more regular women I know are having things done. One got a breast reduction estimate of $7,000. I know a few who have had multiple surgeries done. Houses that cost more than $500,000, especially when the people are in their 20s or 30s. Multiple annual vacations. Flight costs alone are crazy high right now. Private schools. The amount of times people have made this suggestion to me is astounding. WTH can afford $20,000, $30,000 a year on one kid. Story 13. Skip the dishes or any kind of food delivery service. The cost of food is high enough as it is, then I'm going to pay someone to prepare that food for me and then pay someone else to deliver it to me so that I can enjoy a cold and soggy meal, make a bigger than necessary carbon footprint, and increase my own cost of living. I see these services used everywhere, and I just can't make sense of it.